Should be live in 3, 2, 1. YouTube makes it kind of difficult to figure out when I'm actually live. Figuring out slowly, going back and figuring out all of my YouTube lives. But hey, welcome back to another Cosas Verdes live show, 10:30 a.m. New York time, Tuesdays and Thursdays. What we'll do here is we'll start off with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at a battle right now. It's a pretty intense doji candle day, and a lot of the, I would say, midterm time frame indicators are wanting, even though I'm midterm time frame bearish, some of the midterm time frame, like the daily and 2-day, are showing some pretty strong signs of this rally could go a lot higher, for a pump perhaps up into the 50s. But right now there is a pretty big battle at the daily open line, roughly at 42,912, and we're going to take a look at that real quick. What we'll do is we'll start off with a quick, both short-term, more of a short-term analysis. I think most people who would be on here know my thoughts on the more midterm timeframes and cross-bat and all that good stuff. We won't go too much into that, but we'll do more of a short-term analysis and figure out when our probabilities, I wouldn't say solidified, but when do they become very, very strong that today is going to end green and thus the rally will more likely continue, and what exact points are we going to see when today will much more likely close red. And I established those last night on my live chats with my Discord community, but neither of them has happened. It's just a battle up and down. Let's go take a look and let's dive in. And then after I do Bitcoin, I might look at Ethereum and Cardano real quick, and then I'll take questions. Typically, channel members get priority for super chats, and channel members, I look at their questions first, and then we'll go from there. Let's take a look. And as we're getting started, take a quick second, help out the algo, give me a thumbs up. I know freeloading on YouTube is perfect. I did do these for a reason. I didn't ever do anything but use YouTube as a resource for 4.5 years. But the cost to you is give me that thumbs up. Let's dive into it. All right. You know, free food tastes better, right? So, but it only costs you a thumbs up. So let's get this done. Help out the algo. All right. This is today, and let me make sense of what I have drawn in here from my live chats, video voice chats, where folks come on sometimes with their camera, but usually just with their microphone. And I even had a very loyal VIP member on her roof. She was on the call yesterday doing work outside. But anyway, this is what we have going on. The line right here, let me zoom into it. That is the daily open. And if I go to the daily candle, you will see, and I will take off the origin lines, less busy stuff here. All right. You will see that this line is exactly at the open. All right. And we're gonna piece through this, why it's all here. It all makes perfect sense. It'll come to a perfect circle, sort of referencing a really cool band. I didn't mean to actually reference them, but it'll come to a perfect circle. All right, that's what this line right here is. The daily open. Typically on, let me make my my dumb face look big since I did finally shave. Typically on doji days, when you're getting mixed signals, for example, 4-hour and below look like Bitcoin is tired and needs to take at least a 1 or 1-2 red day candle correction before continuing the move. And that would allow the daily RSI to healthily recheck its EMA, which I'll show you here in a second. The 4-hour and smaller time frames are saying this needs a break. But daily 2-day say, we're not done yet. We can keep pumping. We got plenty of space to go. And when you have that disconnect, all right, when you have that disagreement, the line for the daily open, for some reason, it becomes really, really important. And that's why that line is there. But it's under that condition when specific sets of time frames aren't agreeing, and it's hard to tell which set will overpower the other set. Because sometimes the lower time frames do spill into the larger time frames and they flip them, right? Okay. And giving yourself this daily open line here allows you to determine, it gives you a little bit more heads up under those specific conditions. I wouldn't say necessarily every day mark this line, even though if you did, you would see how important it is and how much it's played with. It's, probably 2 to 3 days a week it's played with heavily. And right here, it is the battle line. So if you go to the, when we flipped back to the daily, it was a doji candle for a reason. Because I think today started roughly about right here, something to that effect. And it has been used as resistance and came above, used as support once, used as support twice, but on a set of lower highs, went below it, used as resistance. Anyway, that's this line. Let me make sense of the other stuff. Why this is important, and this might, you might use some of these tricks in your analyses as well. What this projector tool is, if I can make it disappear, is it is a set between this trend line here. Okay, so if price obviously stays above that trend line, then the likelihood of a green day and the larger time frame, so the daily and the 2-day, that are given potential signals, they're given potential signals that this rally is going to go potentially like in the high 40s or low 50s, that increases the probability that at least today will continue supporting that if price were to have stayed above. So that's what that line means, going back to that chart. That's this line. This line down here, I put it on par with the 4-hour 10 EMA, because during powerful moves, and I want you to listen to what I'm about to tell you, even though I'm not going to make my mug big again. What I'm about to say is very important. During powerful moves, on the first dip down, before continuation, the most common play is the 4-hour 10 EMA, which I'll throw on real quick. I'll go to the 4-hour chart. I'll put on the 10 EMA, and it's that red line right here. You see that? So it's starting to dip a little bit. I might have to, but right now I'm just keeping it in a straight line. And so I did this last night when it was here, and I said, okay. And now let's go back to something like the 5-minute chart. Let's go way down, take off all the EMAs, and now put the projector tool back on. That's what that projector tool is made out of. And it helps you visualize, as long as Bitcoin price is in that projector tool, there is not too many strong cases you can make that today won't end green quite yet. All right, there are a couple within it, especially back here there were, but in general terms, Bitcoin price is healthy if it's in there, and if it's above it, even better. Like, that's going to be nasty. But as long as it's in it, and you can see how this wick down, I'm on the 5-minute chart. You can see that it really did just hit that 4-hour 10 EMA, which is very, very, very common. But you can also see now we're operating off of a set of lower highs, right? And so this is still a lower high than that one. And so today it's really a battle around the daily open line and the set of conditions that I had come up with yesterday for my community. So because they some of them wanted to be in positions. More people were bullish. I took a poll, like, who's on team green, who's on team red. I was personally on team red just for a 1-day pullback. I thought today would already be red. It's not. It was red just about an hour ago, but right now it's green by let's say less than $100, right at $100. It's $100, $80 green. Anyway, I took a poll. Most people were bullish in my community. So and that helps you. And hopefully that aligns with the things I'm saying, just because I am micro time frame bearish, thinking that we're just going to get a 1-day, 2-day pullback before a little bit of continuation. Because I think there's going to be a big fake out to the upside before a big spill. That's kind of my theory here, right? Because I think whales will simply make more money to the downside if they scream price up. But anyway, before price continues screaming up, I'm on team, hey, I think we need a red day first. But most people in my community were bullish, and that is perfectly fine because of what I said earlier. And it's so important to remember this. The set of time frames, like 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, okay, those smaller time frames, that set says we kind of need a pullback. But the other set, which technically is more important, daily, 2-day, are saying we can keep going. It's a battle between there, and therefore it's okay for, let's say even if a community of folks who really follow my TA and, their style similar to mine, that more of them were bullish. Well, it kind of makes sense. Like, that more would be bullish, and that's perfectly fine. So I took a poll, and most people were bullish. All right. So right now it really is a battle, and I can't stress enough, everything that I'm saying is kind of represented with the idea that the daily open line is the battle line right now. And so the conditions that I set for if the day would most likely, so the probabilities would heavily flip in favor of a red day, is if price goes below here, which actually it did. I think the day started somewhere over here. But anyway, if it goes below and uses it as resistance specifically, like perfect resistance, and then has it just, even one more tick down below whatever little lows it was making, something like that, even though it would still be in the projector tool, I think that set of rejections plus a slightly lower low, even though it's in the projector tool, that specific case would slightly increase the favor of a red day and a decent pullback, maybe 4 or 5% in that day. And the increase would flip it much more after price close, maybe a 1 hour below the 4 hour 10 EMA, which is this line here. So this would be, hey, Team Green, you're starting to lose, your probabilities. And at that point with a 1 hour closure, that would be Team Red definitely has the upper edge. And over 1,000 different bets, so if you just made a bet like rolling dice or whatever, Team Red in that case would win more over time. Out of 1,000, they'd probably win 580 of them or 600 of them or something. In this case, if you made that bet, Team Red or Team Green, after these rejections here, but still in the projector tool, after 1,000 of those bets, it would be fairly close to 50-50, but I think, Team Red, Team Bears, guessing that today's candle would be green, in that condition, it would probably be over 1,000 reiterations of the same thing. It would probably be like 550 to 450 for 1,000 times total, something to that effect. Right now, though, it's still kind of up in the air, and so the conditions to the upside were now I'm gonna take this stuff off. Let me make this stuff disappear. I can get rid of that arrow, and the conditions for Team Bulls are almost definitely going to win. And I can take off these EMAs, is I wanted a 1 hour closure above this, trading channel line. All right, so if a 1 hour closure, and we were starting this live chat back here, and I let them know, if you get a 1 hour candle closure above 43.30, then Team Bulls are definitely in favor. And what happened, late at night when we were sleeping, a 1 hour did go above. So let me go to the 1 hour chart. A 1 hour went above, but it did not close above. So therefore, the conditions for Team Bulls, in terms of your probabilities, are very strong that today will be green and perhaps a big green day. The condition for Team Bulls it hasn't met either. So right now it's still stuck in limbo, which is represented by the idea that we're both kind of playing in that projector area, and the battle is the daily open line represented right there. And, and that should be your perfect circle coming back around. However, in this very moment, very micro time frames, that's a good buyback off that. Let me get rid of the projector tool. That is a pretty good buyback. So you see how important this line is? Look at this 5-minute candle. Come down there, wick perfectly, and people bought that line up. Now you're making a higher local high. So right now, Team Bulls, they really are starting. Look at this candle. This candle's really starting to go. Team Bulls are definitely in favor right now. I would say the odds are probably, closer to 52 to 55%, but you still don't have a 1 hour candle closure above this trend line. Could this hour do it? Well, it ends in 12 minutes. So we're going to find out during this live stream if it's going to turn into another one of these and it'll come right back below and come test this line again, or is it going to close above? And if it closes above, then it's very likely going to get continuation, perhaps a small pullback, but it's likely not going to pull back to the daily open line if you get a 1 hour closure above that line. And so this blue line is represented, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see what it is over years and years. Let me even go to the 2-day chart. Watch. This is the master origin line, which is and the channel around it. So parallel channels around it. It's the most important line in all of Bitcoin history. So it's playing with it right here, just like it did back Here, just like it did back here after the capitulation of 20K in 2017, if we zoomed into that area, for example, you can see how price played pretty similarly, actually, with the lines. It played within the lines on the master origin line. This was actually slightly more bullish because it used the master origin line, the middle one, as support a little bit more. And so that's the 2-day chart. It looks a little bit different than the 5-minute chart. And if we go to current time, the same lines, price simply has not used this master origin line as support. I mean, really at all yet. I mean, it used this blue line as support and had a nice pump. Then it came down and used the bottom line as support, had a nice pump. Bottom line, small pump. Bottom line, pump. Has not used that master origin line. And that is one of the reasons why I was thinking today would be a 1-day, at least a 1-day pullback. I was thinking, come on, we need to use this as support before we get a big push off. That was one of my things, even though I already knew that the odds were, roughly 50-50 at that time. So we're going to get a 1-hour closure here. I guess the 15-minute also represents it. So we're going to have a 1-hour closure in 10 minutes on this live show. So in 10 minutes, we'll come back to see if the 1 hour closed above this blue line. Can you see how important this line is? This line goes back years and years. Isn't this crazy? Look at all these wicks. Like these lines are real. They're totally, they're absolutely real. And what the hell is this line on my chart? I don't know what this is. What did I do there? I don't know. That's not my daily open line. Wonder what that is. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm not sure what that is. All right, and I'll put my projector tool back on so we can kind of see what's going on there. Yeah, and that is why I have all this micro time frame analysis here, because I kind of thought today would be a battle around this line. And I even took a poll within there asking, hey, who's on Team Doja? Who thinks it's going to be a Doja candle? No one really picked one. And it's either folks thought it was going to be red day, a small pullback, perhaps down to back to the origin line, which was kind of what I was thinking. And other people thought, no, there's too much momentum. It's going to be green day. No one voted Doji. But as of right now, Doji is kind of is looking fairly probable, unless you get a 1 hour closure above here, then it should really take off. And that is so I guess, hopefully my micro time frame analysis in context with the battle between the mid-small time frames, like 1 hour to 4 hour, kind of saying, hey, we need a small pullback, versus the daily and 2 day saying, hey, we can keep going up. You can see how it all fits, the micro time frames fits within that struggle between those two sets of data points, right? And you typically don't see me on YouTube doing any sort of micro time frame, super small time frame analyses, but I do this a little bit more, this type of stuff, more in my community, because we like to get into positions, and in order to get into positions, if you're using leverage, it's really good to try to finesse them, so you get it at the point of a little bit momentum to the upside, so you don't have to get scarce to the downside and be getting stopped out. You want to reduce how many times you're stopped out by finesse, and really diving down to the small time frames like this is how you, over time, you greatly increase your profit margin if you like to trade and click around, because you get scared out of a good position less if you finesse, and simply the times that you're wrong, your finesse allows you typically to get your stops in profit or right at break even, and then you were wrong, but you didn't lose any money. That's the importance of the micro time frame analysis, but always keeping in context of the larger time frame. So in context, so going to the daily, this was what I was talking about earlier. I'm going to throw on the RSI. I was thinking that today simply needed to go like this. I really thought this juncture, I'm still drawing lines. I need to teach myself how to use trading view. So this is the daily RSI, right, with control zones. So you see how each has a juncture. So this is one juncture, the end of the juncture, new juncture to juncture, juncture to juncture. So each of these represents a day. I was thinking this juncture right here, my thoughts were it wanted to do this first, and maybe even a second day wick below. All right, maybe even a second juncture going like that, maybe. and then really spike off, something like that, and then continue its run. That's sort of what I was looking for. And that was one of the pieces where I thought, yeah, I'm going to pick Team Red mostly because of that reason. However, Bitcoin can, separate greatly from its EMA just fine for multiple days. Like 1, 2, that's like 3 days, 4 days, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, that was 9 days, like 8 or 9 days, just straight up almost, back in early February when I think it went up to 44K or something like that. So it doesn't have to pull back. However, because of this nice structure here, I just thought it would keep the structure and then take off to then get some momentum into this bullish control zone, which if that were to happen on the daily, that would be Bitcoin at 50K. And that would still, and you might say, but your midterm time frame bearish, Tim. Yeah, I am. But I'm still thinking whales are, market movers and shakers are going to want to create a very large fake out first to the upside debate, to get everybody bullish and then just drop it like a rock, almost exactly like back in May of 2021. The same group of coordinated folks who were printing an exact Wyckoff shape. They also used part of their money to pump Ethereum and Bitcoin pump Ethereum and Cardano as Bitcoin made a lower high, right? To even fool people more that the market, and it fooled me. I got tricked out. I was one of the earliest bearish people in March making videos. There's too much bearish divergence. It's got to have a pretty big pullback. I think I was saying 42.5. I was thinking it's got to pull back to 42.5 even after it hit 64K, something like that. It's got to hit 42.5. And then during that fake out when Ethereum and Cardano got pumped while Bitcoin was making a lower high after the 64K high, I had to flip bullish, and then 2 days later, kablam! And that's, I think, something similar has a chance of happening before my midterm bearish type of guess plays out. So let's see if this hour has closed. Nope, it's got 4 more minutes. It looks like it wants to stay above this line. It's going to be pretty close. Let's go to the hour chart. It's got 4 minutes left. Let's see here. Let's take a look at Ethereum with its. Let's look at it on the 4-hour chart. So what Ethereum has done within this trading channel here. So this channel goes back a whole year, right? I mean, this is maybe even longer than a year, like almost 16 months at this point. This goes back to almost 2020. So this is December 2020 right here. So I guess it technically starts in early 2021. So this trading channel has held up for a long time. And right now, what you have going on with Ethereum, which I kind of think it does support Team Green here, that their continuation to the upside is, you had, the 1 quarter zone, this orange, so this is the bottom, so 0, this is 1 quarter, this is the midpoint, the point of control or halfway line, like half court or, on a soccer field or soccer pitch, whatever you call it, halfway through. This is the 3/4 line, top of the range. You had a nice support area with higher lows using this as support, and you're getting consolidation just under the next resistance point, which is not that's not bearish. That is not bearish, but a lot of indicators are saying this needs to come down. For example, typically, so let's go to the 4-hour RSI. On Ethereum, structural analysis is disagreeing with some of the indicators. And I have stressed on my channel during choppy times and to my Discord community, I have stressed that during choppy times when there's no clear trend, because right now the weekly is in a no trend. The daily time frame is in an uptrend, just barely, recently, but the weekly is still in a no trend, and we obviously are in a choppy area. During choppy times, structural analysis, at least during this choppy time, gets things right a little bit more in indicators. You need to rely less on especially shorter time frame indicators because it's too choppy for it, right? So on Ethereum, you have rejection, getting kicked out of the bullish control zone on the 4-hour here, going under the EMA, getting rejected again by the bullish control zone after getting kicked out of it, and essentially kind of staying under its moving average. But over the last 4 hours, it's gotten above and used it as support. So it is starting to change. But at that time, when I was on Team Bear, maybe back here, I saw this high and a tick down. I was like, yeah, I think that's it. I think it needs to pull back. And you can see how that disagrees with the, let me even go down to the 15-minute chart here. That totally disagrees with the structural analysis that I just said, that the bottom of the 1/4 zone was perfectly used as support, higher low, proved this quarter line as support, and is now consolidating under the next resistance, which consolidating under a resistance, whether it's the weekly 10 or whatever, it doesn't matter what resistance it is, that is not bearish. It typically plays out in a bullish sense, and it totally disagrees with it. And so it's another kind of interesting way that during choppy times, the different strategies you use to analyze charts, you're not going to get full on agreement. Now, if Bitcoin does just keep flying up, then everything's going to look bullish, and then after a while you'll start getting bearish divergences. Then the bearish divergences will start disagreeing with all the continuation signals. But typically there is a time when price just starts screaming up, everything's just bullish, no bearish divergence, nothing. And those are the times where trading is a lot easier because the direction is a hell of a lot clearer. But that also can be the time, unfortunately, when you get your flash crashes with no bearish divergence, and then it comes right back up to get it like a quick 10% day, and then boom, Bitcoin comes back up, unfortunately. And that's only been happening since 2019, because that's when traditional markets started connecting their trading algorithms and trading desks, the exact same thing they do with NASDAQ. Like they are tied together, and that's kind of why you see that now since 2019. Even though I guess crashes happened in 2017 and all that stuff too, but it wasn't under the same conditions, not even close. And let's I think that, yeah, so that's Bitcoin and Ethereum. And what is Ethereum doing? Is it going to close the hour above? So the hour just closed. This hour did not. So the hour that just closed, it did close below it. So it closed below that line. What did Bitcoin do? And then I'll probably start looking at questions here since I've talked. So Bitcoin did close. Bitcoin closed above the line. So I think Team Green here, which means I need to go to some of my positions on my other screen here, and I need to bail out. I was trading a little bit to the downside here, and I need to get the hell out. All right. Okay, because the probabilities absolutely just flipped. I was still thinking, hey, I got some smaller positions on short trades where I was going to close just down here for a small gain, but I just bailed after that. And that's kind of how I make trading decisions right when. So that's why it's important to know or to devise systems in which you think that probabilities clearly flip in favor of one over another. And it's honestly a strong hour close. I mean, look at this. Look at this candlestick. Analyzing this candlestick here, you have a great buyback off the 4-hour 10 EMA, strong closure. And then this is like a bare top. Like there is no wick at the top, which means this candle alone, even though it could be a fake out where this just comes straight back down, it's possible. But typically when you get a bare top or even a bare bottom green candle, bare top or bare bottom green candle, that typically gives you a strong probability that your next candle or two on that time frame are going to be green. That is a very, very, very strong closure. It's exceptionally strong, actually. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin today, I mean, hell, it could go up to 44 or 5 at this point. So I guess as of now, I definitely am flipped to Team Green. Team Green for sure. Let's see here. I will probably start looking at some questions y'all might have here. Yeah. Sometimes Bitcoin can move pretty damn fast. Absolutely. All right. I will I will let you all. Slow mode is on. I don't know if slow mode is stopping the questions, but you can all start asking your questions if you want me to take a look at coins. But one video that I did make about Near Protocol, I do feel it is important, even if you don't follow that. It's really important to look at this chart, at least since roughly late February, so early March, the first day of March, since March, to look at this chart, because a lot of your coins and assets, most of them are still below or just now forming, something like this above the weekly 10. And Near Protocol has been near and, no pun intended, but has been at and playing with and interacting with its weekly 10 for a lot longer than most coins. Maybe perhaps Luna. I think Luna has stayed kind of above it, but exception of Luna, Near Protocol is more advanced. So if you kind of take a look at really small time frames like the 1 hour and put on the weekly 10, which is this red line, see how it interacts, your coins could interact fairly similarly. But perhaps more bullishly, now that Bitcoin looks like it might want to scream up to 44.5 or so. And this is a pretty darn good case study, in my opinion. I wanted to point that out to everybody. All right, so let's take a look at Triass here. Yeah, somebody last night in the community pointed out Triass and says, this looks like a really good spot trade setup, and it was. Yeah, it looks like it's already up 10%. Yeah, I think you pointed that out right there. And 15%. Great. Yep. So that was a fantastic setup. I think several people in the community who are on Team Green started getting into that. So just a heads up, I do have community members who were scooping it down here, anticipating a fairly strong move up, at least to here. Maybe even higher to the weekly 10. But if Bitcoin keeps going up, this is going to scream above the weekly 10, right? And then use it as support. Lots of ways this could roll down. This could end up being a big move. Lot of ways this could happen. Obviously depends on Bitcoin. Bitcoin keeps racing up. I mean, this is going to go above its weekly 10. Probably use it as support. Maybe even go up as high as $8, and then if Bitcoin cools down, then do something like that. Yeah, it could. I mean, it could scream up all the way to $8 if Bitcoin does its whole 50K type of deal. But it would probably take Bitcoin 50K plus 52K in order for Triass to get to $8. If Bitcoin peters out closer to 47, then you're going to have some mixture of interaction with the weekly 10, maybe one more spike, fail the weekly 10, use it as resistance, and then come back down. Something like that, in the condition that Bitcoin hits somewhere around 46, 47. What else? Yeah, I mean, yeah, this move should get a decent amount of continuation. And if I were not in it now, I don't know if I would chase those green candles. I don't know if I would chase those. It is possible that it simply comes straight up maybe to like a halfway point, then uses this as support, and if that were to happen, then chasing that green candle would work out because the price wouldn't go back below it. But personally, if you're not in this, I want to be clear, and I do not own any Triass, but I don't know if I would chase that candle quite yet. I would want to see how it interacts with the price of $3.77, maybe get some small pullbacks, and if you start seeing some consolidation under there, then maybe try that. But chasing that green, buying into that 14.5% move is maybe not the best idea, because had you done it back here, look what happened. Kablam! 14% down. And you're simply taking a risk. You would want to see it do something like this, but obviously not from a falling posture, right? So this was falling and then consolidated. But if you come up and consolidate like this, so if you come up and then do that, that's good. Something like this. Yeah, if you see some consolidation under here to something to this degree, then that would not be chasing green candles. That'd probably be a good entry. And you'd still probably get a decent size move out of it. I mean, at least 20%. So yeah, Triass is looking pretty good. That's a good question. Good coin to take a look at. All right, Joe, thanks. I will take a look at Beam. All right, let's do it. I will look at it on Binance, and I will try to look over if you want me. No, I will. Yeah, Binance calculated by TradingView. I'll choose this one right here. And I will start on the weekly. even though this is a young asset, okay, it has pretty much consolidated its whole life. So 1,000 days of consolidation. That's interesting. How big is the range? The range is 1,000%. So really, this one looks fun to trade. Damn. So like a 600% range. That looks smaller than it is, but okay. Let me put on the monthly 10. Okay, let me go to the daily. Yeah, I mean the daily screamed above, the RSI screamed above its EMA, which is the squiggly white line. Came back and got stuck in the golden pocket. So like on any time frame, this is kind of like the golden pocket. If you are writing, and this is a trick I kind of try to teach to my Discord community, like depending on what time frame you're trading, if you can see the RSI really coil up here, but specifically, let me zoom in there, but very specifically use the EMA as support just under this white line, that is like, that's your golden pocket. It usually gets good continuation, so I like that. This looks like it's getting ready to scream above it. Honestly, this looks like it'll be a good spot trade. The Stokes, I mean, they look a little lackluster, but Stokes are finicky anyway. Structurally, it looks just fine. You got a great higher low, 1, 2, 3 higher lows with consolidation under your resistance point. So right now your resistance point's the weekly 10, and your next one is the monthly 10. So if it, with the idea that this breaks out, it's probably going to go straight up to about 52 cents, 51 to 52 cents. Maybe only 49, depending on how long it takes to get there. So it could be somewhere between 48 to 52 cents. And then it'll probably want to, pull back or consolidate or do something else for a little while. It'll need to calm down. But that'll still be close to a 32% move. And that would be its next area. Let me put on the weekly 21 just to make sure it's not between them. That would be awkward. It is between them. Damn it. It'll still probably go above it. I think it'll still try to go to the monthly 10. So I would make a guess between 48 to 52 is where this is going. It looks like it wants to get it, and really, this is not financial advice, folks. But if you now that closure on Bitcoin happened, this honestly looks like a really good setup. You wouldn't be chasing green candles, and again, not financial advice, but I'm almost, and I don't think this trades on KuCoin, but if this were on KuCoin, I would potentially consider using my other screen to to pick up a little bit. This is a good, I like it. Let me try to find evidence against that. So let's see if Bitcoin had a fake out or not. So Bitcoin is not faking out. It looks good. Still looks good. Okay, so go back to Beam. All right. What could go wrong here? Let me look at the 12-hour. 12-hour. Ooh. Let me look at the 8-hour. Yeah, I mean, the 8-hour 200 EMA, usually when you get a 10 EMA, squeezing and using as support, so let me take off the weekly 10. So now we're just have 8-hour stuff. Even the 8-hour agrees, like this, that's using the 10 as support, getting ready to squeeze above, and usually 4-hour time frames and above, this squeeze play typically gets a pretty good amount of follow through. Obviously, depending on what larger time frame resistances are up here, but once this starts getting above here, so you can see how these candles tried to get above, but couldn't close above. You see that? And this is honestly a perfect squeeze play on the 8-hour, and typically 8-hour can get some fairly damn good follow through. I think this is a good eye. And on Discord, sometimes on days where I'm coming up short on finding good coins to look at, but other people are into other coins like Beam that I've never heard of, this is a good trade setup within the context of what Bitcoin's doing. This hasn't taken off yet. It's getting ready to have a squeeze play. I don't know anything news about it, but there could be extra analysis within here saying, hey, the founders did this or whatever. I don't know, but from a strictly charting standpoint, this looks like it's getting ready to take off and hit those targets that I mentioned earlier. And again, I'm going to use the MTF indicator, take off my 8-hour stuff, go back to the 15-minute chart, and it looks like it's going to want to race up. Its path there, I don't know exactly how it'll get there, like how much it'll go up, down, up, down, up, down, but I don't think it'll just be like one 15-minute candle. That's 30%, right? It might do something more similar to... well, maybe it actually could. This does have the habit of really spiking up. It could do something... Honestly, it really could just spike right up. It could do something like this because of that squeeze play. It does have the ability... And let's see what that exact fractal would do here. I bet it hits it pretty close. It would go above my target. That would take it to 56 instead of what I was saying to 52. It could. I guess this. I mean, the way this moves, sometimes it does just go straight up to hit that resistance. It could be a fast one. So if since you did a super chat for $10, I'll go into a little bit more detail. The way you would want to manage that is, you want to make sure you have some limit orders. As long as you think my analysis is okay to some degree, you don't necessarily want to just hold on with no limit sells up here in the 48 to 52, 50, maybe even 56. Like, I would spread them out. But if you had $1,000 worth, I don't know if I would 100 bag or sell all of what I bought down here, all of my $1,000 here, but I would probably do, I would probably get rid of 50% there at least, or maybe just depending on what you want out of the trade. If you want to accumulate this, then I wouldn't 100 bag. If this is just a trade setup for you and you don't care about this coin, then if you don't care about the coin, then I would probably get rid of all of it at that point within this target zone. But something like Dash, I like to trade Dash simply to accumulate it, so I rarely 100 bag. And recently on Dash, for example, so let me show you an example on Dash, which I might have to use I might have to buy Dash back right now. I was selling Dash. Let me actually look at my. I closed my Coinbase, but I think I was selling. My highest sell was 136, and then one was at 127, and one was at 130. So I think my 127 was here. Yeah, I sold some here, thinking that it could just spike down. I sold some when it hit that an origin line, and then I sold some on the way down at 130. So Dash is not following Bitcoin because Dash had a very nice big run before Bitcoin had its run. So Dash doesn't always move with it. But the point is, related to the answer to Beam, to that super chat, is that if you are trying to accumulate, I think I 40 bagged total. I did a 10 bag here when it was falling down after this big scream up, thinking because of the big scream up, it could have 2 to 3 more pumps, and it actually did have 2 more. Because usually after a big scream, you have the bearish divergence start forming here. So if I went to like the 2-hour chart, I bet you'll see bearish divergence, something like that. And bearish divergence means the RSI is going down while price is still going up. So right here, and so it is on the 2-hour chart. Right here is the highest point of the RSI, and that coincides with this. On this one, RSI was lower and under its EMA. And on the third one was a third strike of bearish divergence, right? And so, and it hit the origin line. That's why I sold a little bit more at that point. And this is Dash. So on your coin, you might see something similar to that. If you get a big scream, typically that big scream up, it doesn't just come straight down. There are some coins that behave like that, but when Beam takes off, if it has a big scream, It'll usually go oomph and oomph before it then gives up. And you'll see the 2-hour or 4-hour RSI start to try, get sloopy here, and it stops making higher highs once the 2 and 4 hour are exiting this green zone. And if setting up a chart like mine isn't something that you're aware of because you're new, Joe, then I do have a 28-minute tutorial video that's extremely straightforward, straight to the point. A lot of the comments on it are pretty good, saying, "Damn, this is a good trading view tutorial." It's within one of my playlists on my channel. You just go to that. I think it's the ones that say like learn trading. I think that playlist, something like learn trading basics or whatever, and it's one of those. So and so you can use that same exact RSI, so you can better determine when to start getting out of that trade setup for Beam. So, assuming that you're interested in getting it, because it did look like a great setup. So that was a great spot. All right. Okay. So Mike, member, said Triass. Okay. Yes, I already got Triass. I'll take the red pill today. Yeah. Well, red pill just kind of got. Red pill just. There could be a rejection at the monthly 10 here. Could get a rejection there, but I would still say that if there's a rejection up, but that'd be today ends green and powerfully green. I mean, it'd be a nice green day. I don't think I would take the red pill today, especially after this 1 hour closure. So the 1 hour closure did happen during this live chat, which is kind of cool that happened. All right, David. Okay, so Triass Gang's over here. Okay, 8. Let's see here. Let me look for. Okay, so another community member's asking for Avax. Then I'll get to somebody who asked. Jan asked for Hbar. I'll do Avax first. Okay, so Avax is honestly. Structurally has stayed stronger than Bitcoin because this is the monthly 10 EMA down here. Let me get rid of the of all the other stuff. And take off price. Bitcoin's weekly 10, so this red has crossed below the white line and they've flipped. And Avax has stayed strong enough where it's still playing between, has not rolled over like Bitcoin has. From a structural standpoint, it's important to know that. Therefore, if Bitcoin gets another pump here, because this never rolled over and got weak, I mean, this would probably, in that context, be able to ignore all of these local highs here and probably blast through them. Under that context. Without the context I just said, that it stayed structurally from a large EMA standpoint stronger than Bitcoin, without that context, I think it would have massive trouble getting over this. But remember my Ethereum analysis where I said consolidating under a resistance point is typically, like, it's almost never bearish. Even though at Bitcoin's 69K top it was, which is crazy. It really did look pretty bullish up there. That was definitely a fake out because Bitcoin was consolidating on top of its 64K area and then it broke down. But anyway, it's usually not bearish, so it is consolidating under these 4 local high areas. It looks like it's going to bust up and challenge. Let's see here. I don't think it can get all the way up to, so you can see this origin line right here. I don't think it'll get that one. I think it could get this one because let me make this origin line a little bit different color. Let me make it white. So that origin line right there, it looks like it is on a horizontal with the next structural area of interest. And if it can get in here, it'll probably have to play around in here a little bit, but once it gets out, if Bitcoin keeps going, that'd be a 35% move up to somewhere around just over 124. I think it could go 124 to 130, 124 to 130. This is a neat consolidation, and a really cool thing about it. And here, what I'm about to say though is going to be really important. So, what I'm about to say is even though it only happened in a quick moment of time, what I'm about to show you, it is hyper important, and it's something you need to eagle eye in terms of knowing your probabilities of continuation to the upside. Like what I'm about to say is just really important. It applies to everything, not just AVAX. Let me take off the monthly one. So let's focus on this red line, takeoff price. Okay, so we're going to focus did price ever use this 10 EMA as full on support? That's what we're going to be looking at, right? And when did it do it? So put price back on. That wick, that doesn't count. So when it went above, it came straight below it, used it, and let me zoom in. Below, came up, used it as resistance, not support. It did not use it as support. Came right through, used it as resistance. Came back up, fell through. A little bit of support, but still broke down, used it more as resistance. So this was support at the time, but because it then failed it and broke through, this now does not count as support because it did not make some type of local higher high over this. So that invalidates those as, but in the moment though, that is being used as support. And at that time, if Bitcoin were strong, I would have been trying to trade to the upside, but perhaps Bitcoin was weak and Bitcoin ruined the party for it. So therefore, it still hasn't been used as support. Only resistance once again. Only resistance once again. Like, look, and let's even go down to like the 15-minute chart so you can see how perfectly it's hitting us, right? Like it's just it's only been used as resistance. And here's the key though. It finally used it as support and made a higher local high. Therefore, all of this consolidation should be seen as a pretty bullish setup because it doesn't need, it doesn't, to have permission to fly, it doesn't need to necessarily come down and use this as support. It's already respected this more than enough from all the times it's used it as resistance and played around it. That's enough respect. So even rejections count as a form of respect. In Far East Asian cultures, you bow, it's like bowing, like, they do deep bows or whatever for extra respect, or if you did something wrong and you're apologizing, whatever. Like, this is a deep bow. There's a lot of respect to this line, and you got it as support. Therefore, this consolidation could easily, that gives it permission to fly, really. Obviously, assuming Bitcoin stays strong, and really, right now, that's not chasing green candles. I think that is a pretty damn good setup. I might actually play along with that. I'm gonna check that out on another chart here on my other screen. I like that setup. That's a pretty darn good setup here. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, no, that's a good one. And if somebody were in that, just depending on Bitcoin, you would want to maybe take some profits after it gets into the here, and then maybe look to buy back if Bitcoin stays strong. So that would be somewhere between 95 to 90, 93 to 95. Take profits in that area and then maybe look to buy back. Or if you're trying to swing trade, just move stops up and just let it keep ripping, or let your stops get hit and you're out in profit. A couple ways to do that, but yeah, this is a good setup. It has permission to fly. It's consolidating under its next resistance point. It should easily be able to get above it because of the context of it has stayed stronger than Bitcoin, plus it already has respected and use the weekly data support. This could really have a big move. This could be that could be a fairly big move. Okay. Yeah, I actually really like that setup. That's a good setup. Okay. Let me go back to this screen. All right. Here we go. And seems you started early today. No, I started exactly at 10:30. The time has changed for me. So the American, whoever asked, I started early. The American daylight savings is, I think it's like 3 weeks off of a lot of Europe or Asian countries. So, if you're typically, let's say 8 hours ahead of New York, there are 2 times during the year for 3 weeks. So in spring and in fall, where you're 9 hours off or 7 hours off, right, for those 2 sets. So that might be what, and our times did just change. So I think we're in that 3-week period where you either will do your daylight savings time. Yeah, you haven't done your daylight savings time yet is kind of what I'm thinking, and we did it earlier than you. I think that is what that is. Going from standard to daylight savings. But yeah, I started exactly on time for us, but for you, yeah, it's a different daylight savings protocol. Okay, so I said I would look at Hbar, even though I got some more community members asking questions here, and I'm coming up on my time where I got to get off, so I got to make these a little faster. Okay, let's see here. There it is. Okay, Hbar, weekly 10. Okay, that is okay. I'm not for sure if I like the setup quite as much. So you can see, this is why I was talking about near protocol for Hbar, because Hbar is going to, if you studied how near has played around with its 10, if Bitcoin continues its run, Hbar will potentially do something fairly similar. Get above it, come below it, use it as resistance, go down a little lower, come back above it, use it as support, something like that. Then maybe consolidate under this area here. You really, like, no matter what time frame you're on, you want to use the MTF EMA. If you can see it over here, okay, and you just click indicators and type in MTF, and you want to start it, and then just hit the gear and inputs so go to 1 week, put 10, put it whatever style you want, full opacity, big line, red, whatever color. You're going to want that on your chart. Even if you're on the 5-minute time frame, you want this on your chart, for sure. This is one where it is, it's had a decent run up, and this is going to be a little trickier of analysis because it already has had an aggressive move up to get perfectly rejected by it, alongside now Bitcoin's starting to move. It might need to go sideways for a while. I wouldn't expect a big pullback if Bitcoin stays strong, but what I could expect, or maybe even a box like this, I think it might. So there are a couple ways that this could go down before it has its next move up to that target area of, let's say, 25 to 26 cents. That'd be a pretty big move. So from current, that'd be a 17% move, raw price with no leverage. There are a couple ways, assuming Bitcoin doesn't spill over here. So under that specific conditions for Hbar, it could keep consolidating, have a couple wicks above, come use it as resistance, do this, consolidate under, then get above, then use the red line as support, and then make its move up. So then I would extend this red line here, something like that, so you can see how it would play on it. Wrong color. There you go. To that degree. So it could. That would be honestly a very likely way it does it. Gets above, fails it, use it as resistance, consolidates in this box a little more, gets above, use it as support, then moves up. That would be my main guess, but there are a lot of ways this could go. I mean, hell, this is a little bit larger of a market cap. So if this were a smaller cap coin, like, things I cover like Veracity or MTV, like it could go straight up and then, do another pump and then come down, test it, consolidate, and then do it all over again. Like sometimes they scream above, then come back and check. But this is a little bit larger of a market cap. So I think it's going to stay more tightly knit somehow to its weekly 10 before the move up. And this is another option it could do. It could just get straight above it and then consolidate on top of it and then make its move with the idea that Bitcoin continues. So that is your analysis for Hbar. And again, the weekly 10's coming in at 22.7 cents. And I think a good profit area would be somewhere around 25 cents on both sides, 24, 26, somewhere around there. That would be a pretty good area for expecting a pullback after a move. All right, and then let's see here. Okay, community member asked for Coti. All right, Coti. Okay. So this also is Coti, ticker COTI. I mean, it's similar to Hbar. It is having an aggressive move up to its weekly 10. And I'm telling you right now, I mean, just most of everything, besides with very few exceptions. Luna, I mean, hell, even Bitcoin at this point, it's been really strong. Most things are coming up to their weekly 10 or just now getting above it. Like this is kind of par for the course, but this one's a little bit behind. This one still hasn't even touched it yet. So my analysis is going to be fairly similar to what I just said for Hbar. It's going to assuming Bitcoin doesn't spill over, which at this point it really doesn't look like it's going to. It's probably going to play in a box somewhere close to the weekly 10. Even if you're on the 1 hour chart, you want that weekly 10 line on there. It's going to play around that. Whether it uses it more as like spikes above, you can use it as a resistance and kind of chills here in this box and then makes its move, or if it gets above the weekly 10, uses it as support while staying in this box, something like that. Maybe with a few spikes below, but generally uses it as support before the move. And then I would say its move would want to what would it do after that? Let me go to a bigger chart. I mean, I think it would, with the idea that Bitcoin stays strong, I think it would wick above the most recent local high. I think it would want to wick above there. So I would put it at 30, almost to 34. It might come up shy of 34 in that case. And but before it does, I think it needs to, I don't think it can get straight there. I think it's going to have to spend a few days, and that move, just like Hbar, would not happen if by the time it puts in its respect with the weekly 10, if Bitcoin's ready to pull back, well then, like, this move ain't happening, right? It'll then break down. And that's the only bummer about, being interested in a coin like that, which is behind the ball, because Bitcoin would, because it needs to put in some time here, it requires Bitcoin to stay strong for a longer period of time to get your then 30% move up or whatever. All right, so it looks like, that'd be like a 39, 40% move up. All right, all right. Okay, no more questions. I got Secret, and then I got to go. RT. Okay. Community member, a YouTube community member, snuck in a question right at the end. All right, so similar stuff, but this one, it's already respected its weekly 10, so I think this does have permission to fly above it. I don't, this type of formation is pretty bullish, actually. This is a good setup. You really, like, whenever you see super low volatility and consolidating kind of under, while already having used this as both, support and resistance, and then you consolidate under it in this fashion with very, very low volatility, and then Bitcoin starts taking off. This does not need to. So this is Secret, ticker CSRT. I don't think it needs to spend time at the weekly 10. I think it has permission to fly. I think this could go straight up to, test this recent local high area. I think it can go straight here, and it probably will. I mean, as in, when I say probably, I mean it by the definition of look at all this area of confluence here. I mean, look, it hits all that, so it looks like it's going to have a pretty big move up, with about a 40% move up, kind of par for the course for the other ones as well. And I say probably because Bitcoin specifically now has a probability of being a nice green day, therefore the general move can continue up, and I don't think it needs a pullback quite yet. I think, but the probabilities could reflip, right? But as of now, it looks like this could move straight up to $7.05, between $6.90 to $7.15, somewhere like that. That'd be a nice move, yeah. And I think this is a good entry. It wouldn't be chasing green candles. Yeah, I think it's a great I think it's a great setup. I think it's getting ready to go actually. Getting right above that line. Yeah, like this could be. I mean, so that's a 4 hour. Go down to the 5 minute. This could be, the hour that it's really going to start taking off here. It could really start moving, and obviously it might respect this 10 just for a little bit, but it probably doesn't have to put more in a day in. It might do something like that. It might put a full day in. Use this, play with the weekly 10, and then play back here with these local highs. Just prove them as support before blasting up. That could happen as well, but because it's put in so much time with low volatility after already respecting the weekly 10 and playing with it this whole time, it doesn't necessarily have to do that, and that's what I got. And again, the final target for that would be somewhere between 690 to 710, and I gotta go. Hey, thanks everybody for being here. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, New York time, and again, the time zones will be different than the rest of the world for a little bit here, so make note of that, and I'll see y'all on the next one.